Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tronage, and today we're going to be talking about FPV crate for January 2021. And I have to say, this box does feel a little bit heavier than usual. Want to know what's inside? Then you're gonna have to stick around. January 2021. Happy New Year, everybody. And we are here with the FPV crate for January. And as I said in the intro, it does feel a little bit heavier than usual. Now, this doesn't mean anything until we open it up and we see what's inside, but it does have my spidey senses tingling, if you will, because if you care to recall, last month for December, we got those weird T-mount 5-inch props. If you missed the unboxing of the December box, you can check it out up there. But there's been some speculation about what could possibly be in this box. And one person was saying in the comments that perhaps it's going to be the motors that are for those props. And if you're not familiar, T-mounted props are a little bit awkward for a 5-inch build. There is a little extra weight, so we hopefully will get some motors in here, because whenever I get some motors in here, I get all giddy. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna bring you in close. We're gonna unbox this live and in person so we can, get the genuine impressions and reactions of what I see in there. Then we're gonna do a cost analysis to see really what did you pay, how much you got out of it, and all that sort of thing. And then I'll give you my thoughts on all these different items. But this just in, make sure you subscribe and like this video. All right, guys, let's dig in. All right, guys, FPV crate, January. Let's give it the flipperoo, and let's break this luscious seal. Oh, so buttery smooth, so buttery. Hear what I'm saying? All right, guys, we're flipping this over. We're opening that flap, and we are going. All right, so off the bat here, we have the packing material as well, the little spoiler stuff. But let's take a look at this sticker sheet. That is pretty cool. I wonder. All right, moving on. Oh. I think I see something that makes me happy, but we'll get to that. Hold on. Let's not get too deep in. Let's go back to the props here. I need to have some restraint. We got 3 sets of props here. Okay, so we have a T-motor 4943. Here is your stats on that tag if you want to read them. It is so tiny though. It's so tiny. But we are back to a standard hole pattern, which is just the one big hole in the middle. That makes me very, very happy. Put those to the side. We have a T-motor lanyard, which can be used for, you could use it to put your transmitter on. However, it has no adjusting, no adjusters, no quick disconnects. It just has a regular little thing. This is more like a lanyard I would think you'd probably use for like a keychain. But you could use it on your transmitter. There's nothing saying you couldn't. I prefer the newbie drone one, but pretty cool. We have a scale here. It's actually kind of a heavy duty scale here. So we have the Superior Mini Digital Platform Scale. Pretty cool thing. It has all these different weights that it can do. It can do grams, it can do ounces, it can do troy ounces, it can do penny weights, which are used for like gold, it can do carats, which is for diamonds, and it can do grains, which is for, medications and stuff. So it has a lot of different things. Most people are just going to use grams and ounces, but these other ones are good to have, just, if you want to have a precision scale, which it does. If we look on the bottom here, it does say that it has looks like a maximum of 1,000 grams. and it can go down to 0.1 grams, which is kind of nice. It's not super, super precision. It's nice to always have the ones that can go to like to 0.01. But, you know, 0.1 is still definitely good for what's in our hobby, since you're going to be probably just using it to weigh a drone. Because you're probably wondering yourself, what do I need a scale for? Well, let's say you're in that sub 250 category of drone pilot. How do you know your quad is sub 250 grams? Easy. Take this scale, put it in grams, weigh your quad with the battery, with everything you're going to be flying with, and see if it weighs 250 grams. That's the purpose of this. Pretty cool. And then lastly, dun dun dun, these make me happy. We have the special edition Velox motors here. Let's see if there's any information about them. Here we go. They're 2206s. Actually 2206.5, and they are a 2,550 kV motor. There is your informationes, and let's take a peek at one real quick, see what they look like while we got the camera here all nice and close. So these are not a T-mount style motor. They are a standard motor. Let's crack one of these open. So there you go. Pretty cool thing. Standard, just one nut thing. Very smooth. Tiny bit of cogginess, but just about right, I would say. And there's your 2206.5 on the side and 2,550 kV. The outside kind of has this like hammered texture to it. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of pretty. Here's your bottom, if you want to see what the bottom looks like. Everything looks pretty slick. Wires are nice. It's even got, I don't know if you'll be able to see this, but there's a little grippy pad, like right here in this area, where your prop will be smushed down, so it really helps prevent some slip. That's kind of nice. It's like textured there, like knurled, I think is the correct word for it. You can hear me like rubbing on that. So that's kind of cool. I'm digging these motors. I ain't gonna lie. So as I'm looking at these, I'm also noticing that there is a FPV crate little special edition logo on the side here, which is nifty. But what I'm also thinking about is that these might be like kind of like a butter zone, at least for my personal tastes, because the motors that I always find myself kind of going back to just because of affordability are the DYS Samguk Wii and the Samguk Shoe, which are basically the dark blue and the red motors. I did a whole like motor theory and stuff using them as examples. If you want to check that out, there'll be a link up here in the corner. But the difference here is that the Shoe, which is the red motor, is a 2306 2500 kV. So it's bigger size, but about the same kV. And the Wii is a 2207, like a 2300 kV. So it's the same size, but a lower kV. So basically what this motor is sort of like the Wii and the Shoe had a baby and produced the Velox motor, or Veloce. But in any case, the point is that it basically has the size of the Wii, but the kV of the Shoe is sort of like the gist of this. So that might be a butter zone for me, because I kind of toy between the two of them, because the Wii has a little bit less like grip, but the shoes are a little bit almost too aggressive. So this might be a really good butter zone between those two. So I'm pretty excited to check these out. Also included, by the way, you do get motor mount screws and a nut for the top of the motor. And quick note, just because this comes with these screws does not mean that is the correct length of screw for your quad, because they don't know how thick your carbon is. They don't know if you're soft mounting. They don't know if anything else is, they don't know if you have any kind of skid plates. or anything. So the point is, just because they've included these screws, always check when you mount your motors, when all is said and done, none of these screws are protruding past these feet and going up into those windings. That is very bad. So if you have, like, let's say a thinner carbon and you're not using a skid plate or anything, these screws might be too long and you may, damage something. Or if you're using a skid plate and thicker carbon, these screws may actually be too short and you may only get like 1 or 2 threads into that bottom where they can just kind of pull off. So always make sure you check. Just because it comes with them does not mean those are the correct screws. If you want to check, there'll be in the description, there'll be a link to a screw kit that I like to use for, so you just have a variety of lengths so that you can use those when mounting your motors. So there we go. We have 4 of these motors, which I am super excited to try out, and we'll also have to do some tests with those. So 4 motors, 1, 2, 3, 4. We got the scale, we got the lanyard, and we got the 3 sets of props. So I am pretty excited. I want to see how this box stacks up for a cost analysis. Oh, and a sticker sheet and a cheat sheet. All right, let's go run some numbers. All right, guys, I ran the numbers and it should come as no surprise that this box is a little bit special because, well, let's face it, it had motors in it. So let's take a look at that cost analysis. So first up, we have these props. They are the T-motor props, and I love getting me some props. Let's face it, because we've all done it. We've all crashed. Oh yeah, I'll just bend this prop up a little bit here. Oh, that looks good enough. But every now and then it's nice to throw a fresh set of props onto there. And in all honesty, the other cool factor about this is because you're getting to try new things, because you get different sizes, 4.9, 5.0, 5.1, different pitches. And each prop performs a little bit differently. So for your build, some of these props may work awesome, some of them may not work great, but some of them may be outside of what you would normally just buy. You may say, oh, for my builds, I always use this, and that's what I just stick with because I like it. And you may say, well, you know what, I feel like trying something new. Let me throw these on there, see what happens. And all of a sudden you may be like, game changer, and all of a sudden you've tried something you never tried before and it blows your mind. So it kind of helps you to find new products. As well, just the reverse of that, if you put them on there and they don't work out so good and you're like, I don't really like the way these feel, you can be like, all right, now I know I don't like that style, that pitch, that size, whatever it is for your type of build. So it's nice getting a nice variety of them. Next up, we have this T-motor lanyard, and originally I was just going to make this be like a gimme for $0, just like I kind of do battery straps nowadays, but I did give it a dollar value, $1, because essentially this is the same type of lanyard that you can pick up at the dollar store. You know, the type where you clip your keys on the bottom, and then when you're bored, you kind of do one of these things and you twist it around your finger. That's kind of what this is. This is not what I would recommend at all anyone use to hold a transmitter on their neck. Specifically because there is no ability to adjust length from the clip end to the neck end, because some people like their transmitter high, some people like it lower, and you need for that comfort factor to like get it just right, so where it's hanging on your neck, it's taking the weight, and you're just controlling it where it feels comfortable. Also, typically they'll have some form of a quick disconnect, because after you crash, which you know you will, you need to set your transmitter down. You usually don't carry it around with you. You'll put it down and you'll go do what you got to do. So in order to do this, you would have to then take this off over your head. Most lanyards that are for transmitters have a little quick disconnect, whether it be a little plastic clip in the middle here, or the actual clasp is shaped like kind of like this. So when you pull the lever, it opens up all the way so that it just kind of lets go, versus this is more of a lobster claw style clasp. This to me screams mostly keychain. And to me, keychains are just freebies that you get like at a trade show, but they do sell these at the dollar store, and that's why it has a dollar value. Next up, we have this digital scale, and I'm thinking this is an awesome thing, but there could be some mixed reviews on there, and I'll kind of give you my stance on it. Where I see this being very important to have in our hobby is if you're in the sub 250 category, whether by choice or by laws and restrictions in your area, because you need a scale to know if you're under 250 grams, sub 250. And remember, that includes everything. That's your flight weight, whether it's your props, it's your cameras, it's your GoPros, it's your batteries. Anything that's going to be up in the air as a whole has to be weighed and be under 250 grams. And that's where a sensitive scale like this comes into play, because you pop your quad on there and you'll have your information. Now, the people who probably don't care about this is people who are not part of that sub 250 group, because you really don't care what your quad weighs, you just want to go and fly it. And if that's you, then you probably don't care that there's this scale in here, and you're probably thinking, why do I care about anything with that? Well, I'll tell you, it does come into play when as you're doing builds or you're looking to tweak a build. If you can figure out ways to remove weight off of your quad, otherwise known as payload, and you don't change any of your flight characteristics by doing that, it means it'll fly longer. That's sort of like the whole con. As long as you don't affect your flight characteristics and you reduce payload, you'll have a longer flight time. So having a scale is a good gauge to say, okay, here's where I'm at. Now I maybe trimmed up some wires, neatened it up, and now I weigh a little bit less. Or I used, instead of having, you know, this tall of a standoff from my top plate, now I'm using this tall of a standoff. So it got a little bit shorter, so it weighs less because the metal, there's less metal. Whatever it is that you're changing on your quad to reduce the weight, this is a good indication, so you kind of know where you're at. Is it critical information? Not really. So basically what I'm saying is, if you're not part of that sub 250 group, you probably don't care about this scale. I personally like it because I do these videos and it's good to be able to pull out a scale and weigh things. And I kind of have small scales and I have large scales, but I don't really have medium-sized scales. So this will be a nice addition for future videos when I do reviews or whatnot of quads and I need to weigh them. You'll see it in videos to come, I am sure. So I'm personally excited about it. However, your mileage may vary. And lastly, we have these motors. They do say Velox Veloci on them. They are a T-motor motor, even though it doesn't really say T-motor on the box that I could really see, but they are a T-motor branded motor. And these are an FPV crate special edition, and the special edition is a little bit special in that it's not just a different silk screening on it, it actually looks like the whole bell is a little bit different, because you can go to the T-motor website and pick up these motors and they look very different than the ones that are on the FPV crate website. Now, special note, these are the 2550 kV motors. That means that screams 4S. So if you're flying 4S packs, these motors are for you. They are available on the FPV Crate website for a 1750 kV option, which would be appropriate for a 6S packs. So if you are flying 6S, these probably won't work out too good for you. You might want to check out those. But overall, like I was saying earlier, this could either be amazing or it could not be amazing, because it sort of falls right between my go-to motors, which are currently, I love budget motors, and I love the Wii and I love the Shoe. They're just tried and true for me, at least personally. Some people have issues with them, I don't. They're super cheap, they fly great, and basically this kind of falls in between, where it's the size of the Wii, but the KV of the Shoe. So that hopefully, in my head, at least off the top of my head, sounds like it'd be a pretty good combination. So we will try those out. Very excited about that. Now, as we come down here to the bottom, you can see that this is a very special box, because normally my baseline for what's a good box is $20 over the cost of the box, or 25%, whichever comes first. And if you're not aware, these are mystery boxes. So there is a sacrifice. You don't get to choose what's in this box, but you expect to get value in return for giving up that choice. So for me, that's sort of my baseline to say this is a good box, this is a bad box, this is an amazing box. And you can see for this box, we are just under $32 of value, which is pretty crazy that they were able to do that. Especially, you know, it made me feel really nice and warm and fuzzy, because December's box was great, don't get me wrong, but I wished it was a little bit special. So now this kind of feels special. So I'm very pleased about that. And when you look at the percentages there too, we're at 35% over the cost of the box. So what's that mean? Well, really it means if you went out and purchased everything in this box, it's like you pulled out a 35% coupon and said, thank you, have a nice day, which is a pretty decent amount of price off, in my opinion. and that is a pretty cool thing. So I'm really excited about this box. The contents, I mean, like I said, this scale could definitely be one of those things where you really, you're like, wow, I really needed one of those, or you're like, I don't really care about it that much. Or maybe you're someone who goes, you know what, I don't really need this for my hobby here, but you know, you could always use it to weigh out food. You could use it to weigh out, you know, mail, like packaging and stuff, for shipping purposes or whatever the case is. So it does have some other purposes. It's not like just for this hobby. So even if you don't have a necessary use for it in the hobby, you might have a use for it elsewhere in your household. The lanyard, like I said, it's okay, whatever. But these motors, man, I am so excited to try these out. I mean, especially since they are a 4S style motor. I fly 4S exclusively, and it makes me really warm and fuzzy that I got a 4S set of motors. Again, if you have 6S, your mileage may vary. I wouldn't recommend using them with 6S, but you can do whatever you want. They're your motors. Me personally, I'm only going to be flying them with 4S. So overall, I say this box is super killer. If you're thinking about maybe subscribing to the FPV Crate, please go down into the description. There'll be affiliate links. They don't cost you anything additional, but it does greatly help out this channel if you use those links to do your subscription for the FPV Crate, because as you can see, there is some great value here. Now, granted, this is not a representation. Not every box is going to be equal like this. Sometimes you get duds, sometimes they're amazing, sometimes they're just in the middle. That's the beauty of a mystery box. You don't know what you're getting, so don't think just because this one was great, the next one's going to be great also. You never know. It might be, it might not be. It's always a mystery. But if you are going to subscribe, please use those affiliate links down in the description below. All right, guys, so as always, my name is Tronage. Fly strong.